Okay, mir habe sein. Ja, es ist Shisham Pirem, das ist Kisisu. Ich habe gemacht eine Herring von Stam, sie Levalbus das suchen oder sie how do you say, make it sound interesting, but let me try and see sehen, was man kann echt machen mit dem Smartphone, mit Gas and the header. Yeah, what am I up to? So ja, so als de Masse mit der Eigel und die ganze de Masse von Kisisu. The very after the most mythical Parsha in the ganze Teile is Parsha Kisisu. Also die ganze Fakire, die ganze Neues ist die ganze Zeit, da viele Eigel oder schlechte Sache, da gibt es auch. It definitely doesn't seem as simple as nicht machen aber der Sura, die Adin aber der Sura, because die gleichen der Unai mit einem haben sie gesagt. Als hij doen alleen ik zei moes hoe is als er tuni met het Israël leedani maar heel leedani ja chance die met dat leed aber es sei schwer zu verstehen was er reden wegen at least AP gleich mit the plain old fashioned nicht old fashioned dat mehr nicht old fashioned normal understanding von monotheism und solche Sachen so it doesn't really make sense So ich will try to sagen zwei Sachen basically wegen will ich sagen gute Sach. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to speak halfway Yiddish and English, Risha and everyone else and I'm trying to make the Eigel a good thing by the way. And let's push look smart but I'll try to explain. Let me try to see where I'm up to. Yeah, so the story is as there's what I'm thinking about is that there's a problem with alles in verstehen der Eigel at least also wie Moshe was the Moshe wish I should have known to try Moshe is going to concrete Sache he was actually a real human as far as we can understand although es ist ein bisschen los in der Parsha also gemacht gewesen Gott von sei because Moshe ist nicht du darf machen Eigel so instead von him so but he was like some kind of image or some kind of picture some kind of reality real Sachen mit can touchen und es ist geworden es ist gewesen also wie alle was ja alle von eine jetzt Aharon is actually probably the most problematic part of the story because Aharon hat actually gemacht Eigel Schuss Aharon und die Gemüse sagt, dass man nicht alleine man mit Heidung sein, der Psyche because na Moshe kommt und schreit über Aharon sagt, Ati Udat, das Amke Verui, es haben gesagt, wir zwei Eigel no one knows, he doesn't seem to even like see that it's such a big problem and maybe actually he was actually pro the Eigel so was ich trachte ist, dass there's two different levels of when we say something lass uns verstehen the idea so do Sachen was in aber der Sura was in an Eigel so it's not true it's too much made a picture or an image of certain anyone that has a religion or that has some kind of image of God or some kind of image of and in this Minishdan God image of God theology is always like the last image the greatest image was ich sogar von der Welt but es kann sein, dass pushtere Sachen, es kann sein, the image of the good or the just or the wie diese Sachen davon auch sein. And whenever we talk about the problematics of the image of the concept, there's always two levels. We can talk about the level of the systematic level and we can reden from the detail level, from the particular level. And Lamushel, this is the Sache, was ich will sagen nach wegen Smartphones and Facebook, because I'm thinking about this a lot. I'm on Facebook now, and I use Facebook all the time, and all these Kailem scheinen. And du hast auch criticism of this. Du hast auch systematic criticism. Das ist nicht really the Tane, was der Abunem haben, also bekannt sind von dem, wie ist das hier, ich weiß noch was. Aber es ist du weißt, die meinst das, wo sagen die, ich schreibe auch das wegen dem sometimes, die wo sagen die alle Bekäuers auf Facebook, that you think that you're just here to verbringen with your friends, and mitzvah, was ist so, and verbringen, you know, it's about making the world more connected, like their slogan, and sharing and stuff like that. But really, we're just worshipping Mark Zuckerberg's Eigel. Really, this whole system is actually a whole way of how to extract money out of out of us and move it up to him, basically. And this will say, look, Kili as the sharing and all that. It's him using that. It's him exploiting that goodwill and all those good things that people are doing, and the system actually makes it bad. Matichmanas do zagite criticism, and we've read economic criticism, the social criticism, and all that, and the rachnistic criticism. It dilutes the culture and it makes everyone have a short attention span, all kinds of things like that. And I'll get the criticisms, but I think that there's a shtigl avedazura in this itself. There's a shtigl problem when we start to actually be conscious, actually see every act that we do as part of the system, like as only worshipping the system, or only worshipping the Eigel or the Moilech, like Allen Ginsberg's poem. Because it's true that because at least as long as we're not trying to change everything, we're not trying to build a different world. So we're living in this world, and I think that there's days was ich gehe auf Facebook, ich gehe mit war teuer, ich gehe verbringen meine friends, und ich gehe tina psa gute Sachen, ich gehe Sachen, es du atmimes, du a gute kavun, a pure intention. And it's very pure. And before we know about this conspiracy, before we know about the systematic exploitation and all these things, we were actually doing a good thing. We're actually sharing. We're actually being friends. We're actually doing good things. And now that we grew up, or we have consciousness of the system, of how in the end this Alice is worshipping some kind of idol. So now we lose we even lose the good part. It's not true that he's like it's something like very evil, that he's like exploiting the goodness of people for his capitalism. Aber der Maße, was ist besser? Man soll allemal sein cynical, man soll allemal sehen sich nur wie ein kleiner Part von der System, was der Maße in seiner noch ein data point in Mark Zuckerberg's, wie heißt das, Database. Verwusselig als trachten von sich alle. Es ist nicht als trachten, also ich darf nicht trachten, also wegen mich. Wenn ich gehe auf Facebook und ich sage, ich schreibe etwas oder ich share etwas oder was ich die. Verwusselig nicht ich trachte, das ist ein bisschen ein Mistake, als wenn sie conscious von der System. And we tracht, and we forget, you lose the very simple and basic ability of actually sharing with your friends, and Taka using this medium, and whatever the medium is. So okay, so then the medium has problems, etc. Aber so nicht allemal geht's focused of the systematic, of the größere system. Und ich will sagen nach Tatsch, also Aaron Cohen was saying this, because Aaron Cohen was da gesagt, da kommen wir davon Eigel, davon etwas. Dafür psalmatic, we have to have a direction. We can't be directionless here. We can't be loyal to animal headler. Like I'd leave that we can't nicht nirgends fuhren mit I'd leave that. Like me, so gerade nicht. We can't drive and Peter and chicken. We can't nirgends nicht fuhren mit der I'd leave that. Moish loyal to animal headler. Moish loyal to. We can't. We have etwas ist eigentlich von einen. And it's true. But I hadn't told them kick. Und sie reden gerade von seiner Größe Effekt. Das ganze System mit darf anhugen, mit darf. But let's start very simple. Each of you has a shtickle gold and a little earring or a little zanvabot, whatever, a little thing. Take that and make something with that. Just focus on this movement of giving the Nizme Azul was a really good movement. We see the famous line of the Medrash that like they're giving their rings, their earrings to the Eigel is a very pure intention. It was actually everyone in a very small, looks like me when I'm sharing on Facebook. I'm just sharing with my friends. I'm not worshipping Mark Zuckerberg's Moilech, Mark Zuckerberg's Eigel Azov. Maybe he thinks, or maybe it's true in the greater systematic level, but we can't always live on the systematic level. The systematic level makes us very small and makes us totally cynical. Then we lose our balance. We lose our ability to actually share with our friends. We lose the ability. And the he's exploiting it as a valid exploiter. So ich verliere meine ganze ability to sein. A Mensch is a social creature. He wants to share. If he has a thought, so he shares it with his friends. And sagt ihm, nein, you're not really sharing it with your friends. You're just worshipping Zuckerberg's bank account. Okay? So, but when Moshe came and he told them, look what you did. There's an Eigel here. There's a whole there's a whole thing. It's a whole big Eigel. And Aaron says, no, listen there, Moshe, you're thinking too big. You're thinking in the whole systematic. Let's look you know what happened? They came. They said that as I don't him, as far as Arnes seems to say. And I told them, I told them each gave Einzelnehmen and gave an Artikel von Zan. And so it emerged. It was like an emergent property that the Eigel, it came out. That's actually it says. And you're focusing on this the whole time, Moshe. You're focusing on the how from all our little good things that we actually did, but with actually good intention, somehow it emerged that the system is exploitative. And maybe there's just no way out of it. Maybe all systems are going to have issues. And whenever like this whole leftist way of thinking always that we see the systematic issues and everything, and which is it's a very important way of thinking. But maybe a system is always flawed, and systems are always going to be v'yaytza, and maybe the way out of the eichel is actually to focus on this one little nizme azov that they each gave, and v'yaytza okay, this nicht focusing on them. And anyways, that's a shtickle drish, and that's why. And Moshe Rabbeinu maybe was masking him, and that's why. What did he do with the eichel in the end? He took it, and he put it in the water, and he gave it to drink. Heißt, hat gesagt, okay, ich bist doch gerecht, and as the wusste sich dus nur der Prutim, and the Eigel I shouldn't focus. So let's grind down the Eigel back into its pieces and give it back. Und so nochmal zurückgeben, zwei Deine an, nicht mehr so, wie das Trinken an, herangehen, es sei, Terüsse bekirbam. And maybe that's actually what's going on. But anyways, the master was so good as M is the other Torahs as Zuckerberg is exploiting us, all kinds of things like that. But it's not worth for us to always focus on the systematic problem, and we lose our ability to, in actual good faith, to share with our friends. And ich personally, share stuff on Facebook. It's a tool that I have that works for me in some sense, and worked for me in a lot of senses. And actually, sometimes it didn't work for me, and it made me problems, and made me mental issues, whatever problems it makes. But so whatever, but the simple gesture of me sharing is nothing to do with Mark Zuckerberg's Eigel. It's just me sharing. And if the next week there's going to be a different tool, I'll use a different tool. And these tools, they come and go. We don't have to make that into the issue. That's the first drush that I want to say about that. The second thing is a bissel going tiefer with them in a different sense, which comes out of this, and is another part of it, is in which level do we relate actually to the objects that we have in front of us, and on which level do we always think of very mifshetig, abstract ideas of the Renyunim. And ich mein, das hat die alle Parches und wegen der Mishkan und die ganze Sache von Timmer für die Haare mit alle Sachen. Es du a gewisse Chachmen, und dann steht dir ein Krusi beschein bezahl benir mechi, but geben Maricha leben. Es wird nicht koidisch, how to make objects, how to make bechroishes even. Normal is all kinds of the old psyche that they count, geht durch alle Wegen, wie sie bezahlt hat, geht die Chachmen, die Richa leben. Und ich kann sagen, das Tief, was zu uns ist, die wir immer schon anwurret, wir können es auch verstehen in der Weg. Das heißt, there's very simple, the basic what a human has to do is the loch sign in Chavlich Leisavet, as we gesagt. It's kind of simple, but since we live in a very complex world, so it's actually hard to when man sagt as a smartphone or a Facebook, it's a tool, right? It's not really a thing at all. It's a medium, it's a tool. So with the basic argument that I've been arguing about smartphones for the last 10 years, is that we were any druf for someone that gives out a drusha de kaila, you see it's mamish manashmaim, the rabunim. You can asach learn from the neschus that people use, from the language that they use, and they're not even conscious of it. That they always use the word kailim. Why? It's mamish kailim, and there's a focus on the kailim is a kind of a mistake. It's kind of an eigel in itself. As the achilik, the smartphones are treifende zach. This is a hefze, so nicht kein hefze. What I'm always been saying, it's not a hefze, it's a system, it's a tool. It has all kinds of effects, all kinds of uses. What's the hefze alliance is good nicht. Man darf trachten tief von dem, weil es ist ja du a Chachmen, the Mishkan, man hat gemacht, aber ich kann jeder Retter, das ist der Chilik der Mishkan, mit der Eigel. Es ist du a gewisse Chachmen, wie bald the Welt is complex, in order to make sense of it, in order to be able to live in it, in order to be able to work with things, we have to actually assign properties to objects. We actually manage our relationships to objects. Because the mass of Leben is in the Welt von abstract relationships, von das ist kein relational database. The Welt is actual, made of actual things. And smartphone is a thing, and it encapsulates a lot of other things. It could encapsulate ideas, it could encapsulate it being a tool, it could encapsulate other all the things that we discussed earlier and other things. But and Lamass, when ich stehe auf in der Früh und ich nehme a smartphone, it's a ritual act actually. And the people that they invented all these rituals and they figured out all kinds of they made these objects that are sacred, that are holy, and there's objects that are verkehrt, that are tumme, that are profane. If you talk to them, you got tumme. I don't think ganze Meshige, es macht sich, ich kann immer gesagt, ist tumme, what does that even mean? But they're trying to create a certain relationship to objects, which is actually how people live in the world, which helped them to whatever they were trying to create, or whatever their goal was. This is a way, this is a whole chachma, was in daf lernen, like Betzalel, man darf da a tiefe philosophy, a tiefe chachma, a tiefe psychology and sociology and anthropology and all these things come together and actually creating relationships to objects. I'm thinking that this maybe can that's also creating a relationship to an object, maybe, and I think it's kind of the wrong relationship. But maybe if the other way around, maybe we should try to treat it as a chefze de kedusha, as like this do tashmish kedusha. When you use a smartphone all day and you use it for your different things, you use it for business. I use it a lot for these kind of things, for sharing thoughts and stuff like that. So I think that the object of the phone, the computer, whatever we're using, it achieves certain properties. And the religious impulse, if you have a holy book and you kiss it, and if alter b'dvered we get zakish, so nicht mehr schige, es ist the Seifer, limina Seifer hat Messiurelle, was steht in der Seifer, das steht nicht in the Metzies, and the computer takes that even levels further because you can't even see it. There's not even like ink in the smartphone where there's a siddur, and Menschen haben sich chakiris. Bei smartphone, bei computer hat a siddur inside that rachimish, maybe around him biskis. That a little bit took even further the difference between the object and the toich and the thing that it carries. But I think that it might be a way, it might be important to actually think about how do we actually relate to an object. Maybe in some way it's a holy object. Maybe in some way it's a ritual. It's meins dich Meshiga as an object, as if you have phone was ein Menschen, Rav Menschen, über mich, stein auf mit this, and ganz mit this. It's mamish becomes something that you have an emotional relationship with. I have like a philosophical relationship with, and all these ways of creating a relationship with things. Ich meine, ich habe gesagt, nicht steht doch du und versuch war zwei von Tagen, gesagt, macht ein Mistake, anstatt von sagen, durch das Smartphone seinen Drive, so sagen verkehrte durch das Smartphone so heilige Sachen, man heilige von das Sefer, was Sefer kann oben ein Sefer, du kannst an Ton Sefer ist. In jetzt das Problem, Menschen gehen kicken Pornography, die etwas auf das darf man sagen, aber nicht lernen, die kriegst du fast Sefer, das Sefer kickt man ries, als das keine uns angefangen zu legen Porno fast Sefer, I feel the größte bomb, so halt nicht gut nicht. You know, he has a respect for holy objects. It's a natural thing. It's something that becomes very, very real to you. Something that becomes very ingrained in you. And maybe if we look at it that way, if we actually be mekadish to it, like do a ganze parsha, the parsha Hashem HaMishcha is mekadish gewesen the kailim. That is, the kailim and kailim, they just have a use, they have a functional use. But now we took oil and we somehow in this kavun of putting the oil at the rapis, I mean, gesagt, no, this is nicht tamakli. This is a heilige object. This is a other sort of relationship with this. And doch dem, it's doing them dangers. There's a lot of danger. This is also something that changes, like da schwere Pusik that calling a guy beim Yigdash, kind of weiß nicht. Do you become holy from touching it, or it's meint verkehrt, mit wird tumme. And that's the in the Pura Dima was the next Woche. There's this whole thing that holy, sacred, and profane actually have a relationship. Says das sagt man, was sagt das so heilig, als man toucht das wird mit Tumme. So that's a blessed idea. And so if you read Mary Douglas' Purity and Danger, there's this whole sigi about this anthropology, if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. But I think that it makes sense, because if you think about it, and Chazal famously said that is Kodesh B'rich HaKodesh is Metames HaYadayim. They said, in order to create a sacredness to the books, for some as an wichtige, the Karanars, or whatever, they said that you shouldn't touch it. It's Metames HaYadayim. The reason that the Gemara gives is because man got this liking neben essen, and the guy werden aufgegessen, whatever, was a trick. But that's what it's not crazy, but it's probably deeper, like more mystical or more really related to Tim and Dad, and this, that when you say a book is holy and it's metame, it's like I'm saying a smartphone, it's heilig and it's metame, it's nicht an der ganzen Meshige. In other words, it gives it a power, it ascribes a power to it, it ascribes an existence to it that's not only functional, it's not only butal to what you're using it for, it has an existence for itself, and you have to have some kind of distance from it. You have to have a distance, and a distance could be expressed in language of holiness. It's so holy, ich kann just reden, schon kannst einfach teuren, reden es nur mit der andere Sache. Oder ich gehe so reading, guys, very ruined. The smartphone is gonna fall on the floor, so I have to put it in a cover. This is all relationships to objects, and or the same thing. You can say it's so holy that if I touch it, I get tum. I have to go in the mikveh. Ich darf mal ein bisschen a distance finished. And basically, that's the second point that I wanted to make about smartphones and the Eigel. That we have to create a relationship, a living relationship to things, and we should maybe this whole, it's the same thing like I said before, it's like only the systematic thought leaves us missing a lot, and the same thing, only the functional or the theoretical thought of things leaves us missing, and we need to think about how we relate to things as an object, and how we relate to objects, and how we create. And since we live in a new world, which is most of the objects we were surrounded with that didn't exist in the times of that our religion and tradition was created, we should. Okay, that's all. I got cut off. So that was my drusha, and yeah, I get in Shabbos, and I get Eigel, and I get in Pira.